Good morning and welcome to Football League World TV. It's Friday morning. It's time for the EFL betting show. The international break is over and we've got a full fixture list across all three EFL divisions this weekend. So plenty for Marcus to get stuck into. My name is Sam Rourke, Chief Editor of footballleagueworld.co.uk, and I am joined by Marcus. Marcus, how are you getting on this morning?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, Sam. Good, of course, to have the Championship back to pick from this week. Did all right during the reduced slate last weekend. The banker and the ACCA landed. Value bet did not, with Carlisle beating Bristol Rovers. Paul Simpson proving that he's still, turning water to wine in Cumbria. So, yeah, that was disappointing. And then the wild card was a money back. Shea Dunkley did not get the start for Sheffield Wednesday, so that one was voided. So reasons for optimism going into this week, and obviously great to have the second tier back to pick from as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed for some more luck this week. If you haven't watched the EFL betting show here on Football League World TV before, we select four different selections. A banker, an accumulator, a value bet, and a wild card. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So send in your comments. Have you got any bets on this weekend? Let us know in the comments and we will discuss it during this show. But let's start off with the banker. Okay, Marcus, what was your banker then this weekend in the EFL?
So I'm becoming more and more hesitant and cautious with my banker selections. I've kind of interpreted it as the strongest selection that I'm going to use in my accumulator. And that's Ipswich Town to win at home to Cambridge United. That's at just 11-25 or 1.44. I think you've got to be careful at this stage of the season because there is quite a lot of ambiguity around player motivation, whether managers are going to mix it up with the team selection, with some clubs obviously having a lot less to play for than others. That is not the case at Portman Road, so I'm happy to get on side with Kieran McKenna's Ipswich Town. 9 clean sheets in their last 11, just 2 goals conceded in that time, and an incredibly dominant 1-0 win over Plymouth Argyle last weekend, limiting Argyle, who are sat in 4th place, sitting pretty in the playoffs, to just 4 shots and only 1 inside the box. Another very measured defensive performance. That said, it could have been more than one as well. We're backing them to win, so I can't just bank on another strong defensive performance. Cambridge United have dropped off a little bit lately since building a big enough cushion for them to feel comfortable that their League One status is definitely maintained for this season. Before their win at AFC Wimbledon last weekend, which I wasn't too enamoured by performance-wise, they win 1-0 against the Dons, and it was a sort of a slightly fortunate long-range goal, in my opinion. I think that the AFC Wimbledon keeper should probably save that. But going into that match, Cambridge they were winless in their last 4 without scoring in their last 4. So clearly not hitting their straps going forward. And they're coming up against the meanest defence in the division for my money at the moment. Ipswich, 6 clean sheets in a row at home as well. So they'll definitely be confident. And the players, starting to come back from injury and really starting to fire under McKenna. As I said, they're unfortunate not to maybe make it a little bit more comfortable than the 1-0 win over Argyle. So I think they can potentially do that. I wouldn't persuade anyone away from maybe taking Ipswich -1 on the Asian handicap to win by 2 or more goals. And with that selection, your stake would be returned if they win by just the 1. So, I feel confident in Ipswich this weekend. I think Cambridge have had a great season, but it is sort of tailing off a little bit towards the end. And the Tractor Boys need to pick up a win to keep the pressure on those above them. So Ipswich to beat Cambridge is my banker. That's 11-25 or 1.44.
Okay, there we go. Like you say, Ipswich still very much got a lot to play for. As for Cambridge, not so much. There we go. Marcus opting for Kieran McKenna's Ipswich to beat Cambridge at Portman Road on Saturday as his banker. Let us know in the comments what you make of Marcus's banker. Do you think Ipswich will provide the goods on Saturday? Let us know. Right, let's look at the accumulator next. Okay, Marcus, let's get your Aki then for this weekend.
So I'm going in with a treble as ever, Ipswich going into that. And then it's a case of rinse and repeat, really, with Sheffield Wednesday, feeling very good with them on their home patch in particular. It's a horrible first game in the AFC Wimbledon dugout for Mark Bowen against an Owls side that have really been impressive since the turn of the year. They've won 9 of 11 of their last home games, 1 draw and 1 loss. The other 2 matches there. And of course, as we all know, Wimbledon on a terrible winless run, 21 games in all competitions now. And it was a less than convincing performance. I think they created under 0.4 expected goals at home to Cambridge last weekend. And yeah, it's been an interesting week on the training ground. I'm sure they'll be hoping that there's a bit more of a freshness and a fresh mindset going into this match, but it is going to be a huge challenge. Lee Gregory's come back into the side for Wednesday in the last few weeks and has made a really good impact. Gave the Owls the lead in their sort of pretty emphatic in the end 4-1 win over Cheltenham Town last weekend. And yeah, it is a case of rinse and repeat in this selection, really. I'm still really enjoying, Luongo, Byers and Bannon in midfield. George Byers getting himself on the score sheet and Luongo popping up with a goal and an assist against Cheltenham. One of the goals coming from a Barry Bannon corner as well. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that Wednesday can get the win at what is a slightly short price as well, similar to Ipswich, but obviously enhancing the price, whacking it in an accumulator. The pressure is still firmly on Wednesday as well to keep the likes of Wycombe and Sunderland at bay, so they really can't take their foot off the gas. My third selection in this threefold is Fulham to win at Queen's Park Rangers. For me, I think QPR's race is run in terms of their playoff push, as much as I don't want to say that. I just can't see, without Chris Willock in the side and sort of the strength of their running, the way they can gain points on the likes of Forest, Sheffield and Borough, who have been so impressive since their mid-season managerial changes. Ilias Chair, of course, is coming back from international duty. Whether that will have an effect on what part he can play, it does put some jeopardy on how strongly they'll be feeling that they can get a result against the best team in the league at the Kine Prince Foundation Stadium. Kieran Westwood, of course, will be in between the sticks, a little bit rusty. I mean, he's been a great goalkeeper in his career, but I'm not sure he's quite at the level of David Marshall, having played as regularly as he has over the last couple of years, of course. Having his season ended with a hamstring injury. Lyndon Dykes is still a doubt, but may come back in. That's a positive option, but still not confirmed whether he'll play any part. And yeah, I just think Fulham, the international break came at quite a nice time for them. A draw at Barnsley and a loss at West Brom before the break should be able to refocus and kick on towards what could be a league title, of course, with Mitrovic chasing the record as well. So throwing Fulham into the accumulator there at about just over 7-10, I think, to win at QPR. So Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday and Fulham would come in at just over 5-2.
Okay, there we go. Marcus opting for a treble there. Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday and Fulham as his accumulator. Let us know in the comments what you make of Marcus's treble for this weekend. We've had a comment come in from YouTube. Please do keep them coming in. From Mr. E on YouTube, Ipswich to be promoted at 22-1 is a decent outside bet, in my honest opinion. Marcus, let's get your thoughts on that. What do you make of that? Is there a bit of value there potentially?
I think 22-1 is big, yeah. I'm not going to be racing to get on Ipswich because I do like the teams above them. I think they're going to have to... They're probably going to have to win every single game, or maybe 5 wins and a draw out of their final 6 to break into the playoffs. Obviously, that's where this price being so astronomical comes from, because as Carl Robinson mentioned on Quest last weekend, that they are going to be the team to beat and come in with a lot of momentum if they are able to break into the playoffs. 22-1 looks big. So yeah, a very tempting price. Although, I'm not going to be rushing to back that because... to be honest, in my personal opinion, I think the top 6 is probably going to stay the same. I think Sunderland and Wycombe have been falling away, and I just think Ipswich will run out of time and be very strong favourites going into the next season. But yeah, it does look value. I'd have to say that 22-1 at this stage, and the way that they're playing.
Yeah, could well be worth a couple of quid, that bet. Nice one, Mr. E. Keep your comments coming in. And Robbo, big fan of your treble, class treble, Marcus, backing that. Fingers crossed for that one. I've got to agree, I'm a big fan of that treble as well. Right, let's look at the value bet next. Okay, Marcus, have you found any value this weekend?
I think so, yeah. It's Oldham Athletic at Stevenage. I've pretty stunned, to be honest, to see the price that Stevenage just above 4-5 to win the game at home are having not won in their last 10 matches. I'd rate the Steve Evans appointment. I think he's a very good manager for League Two level, and I would expect him to keep them up this season, but I can't be having that price. An odds-on shout for Stevenage to win when they haven't won in their last 10 games. Oldham with an enormous win over Leyton Orient in midweek, and very impressive considering how Orient have been playing since Richie Wellens came in. They limited Orient to just 2 shots in the entire match, so a really assured defensive display. That was sort of the immediate impact that John Sheridan had at Oldham, sort of shoring them up to get them back in contention to stay up, because they did look dead and buried when he took over. So some positive signs there, even though maybe a bit less recovery time than Stevenage, but so building some confidence for the Latics. It's a price play really for the value bet. Stevenage may well come away with the win, but looking at the odds, I don't think it's anywhere near as likely that they do as they suggest. So I think a bit of value in Oldham here. I'm going to take them plus 0.5 on the Asian handicap. That's at 2.03, just above even money. Exact same as a double chance bet, but a little bit more juice on the price. So Stevenage winless in 10. If they don't win again, then we double our money. I'm very happy to take that with Oldham side that, fighting for their lives against Stevenage, that panicking a little bit, looking over their shoulders. Steve Evans or not, that price doesn't make sense to me. So Oldham plus 0.5 at Stevenage, that's just above even money, 2.03.
Okay, there you go. Like you say, Oldham, a massive result for them in midweek against Leyton Orient. Both on 34 points, Oldham and Stevenage at the bottom end of League Two. So it's a massive clash this weekend. But Marcus sees the value in John Sheridan's Oldham this weekend. Let us know in the comments what you make of Marcus's value bet. Can you see Oldham beating Steve Evans's Stevenage this weekend? Right, let's finally look at the wild card bet next. Okay, Marcus, what is your wild card for this weekend?
Another centre-back goal scorer for the wild card. It's Anthony Stewart of Wycombe Wanderers to score any time at home to Doncaster Rovers. That's at 8-1. Similarly to last weekend with Bet365, if you back an anytime goal scorer, you can tick a little box to avoid the bet if they don't start. That worked out with Shea Dunkley last weekend. I'll be doing the same with Anthony Stewart, although I am more confident that he will start than Dunkley last weekend. Less sort of options for Gareth Ainsworth than there is at Wednesday. He scored 2 goals this season from 4.14 expected goals. So you could argue he's a little bit due. But my main angle in the main stat or form that suggests to me that this is a good bet is that Doncaster have conceded 26 goals from set pieces this season, by far the worst set piece defending in League One. And Wycombe have been very strong under Gareth Ainsworth in the last few years from set pieces. Anthony Stewart, of course, scoring a very famous header from a corner in that League One playoff final against Oxford a few years ago. They've scored 14 goals this season from set pieces, Wycombe. I think that ranked them 9th, according to Opta Analyst in League One. But I expect them to have plenty of territory. Doncaster, a very poor performance, despite only a 1-goal defeat against Charlton last weekend, but it could have been a lot more. They really didn't turn up, and they were camped in their own half. Wycombe are a better side than Charlton, and at Adams Park, they've been very solid this season. So I expect them to hopefully create plenty of set-piece opportunities due to the territory that they'll be able to have. Doncaster, it looks like their little renaissance has fallen off now, and sort of reality is setting in. Some of the January signings that came in, the likes of Josh Martin was on the bench last weekend, haven't really been able to kick on from the promise that they did show. And also, Wycombe will be desperate to get the result to put the pressure back on Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday above them. So Anthony Stewart, I'm happy to take, has underperformed his XG by his XG is over double the goals that he's actually scored this season. So if he's able to get in and around it at set pieces and they're able to create plenty of them, we know how dangerous Joe Jacobson's deliveries are. So potentially a little bit of value in Anthony Stewart at 8-1 to score any time. Wycombe at home to Doncaster.
Okay, there we go. Like I say, all the kind of stats and angles pointing towards that potentially happening. Quite a high XG, I suppose, for a centre back there. Anthony Stewart to score any time for Wycombe is Marcus's wild card for this weekend. Again, let us know in the comments what you make of this. Just a few more comments before we wrap up. Mr. E, this could go horribly wrong, but for a very long shot, Gillingham to get something at Sunderland. Harris has got them much better organised. He certainly has. Gills are currently outside of the relegation zone right now and looking upwards rather than down under the former Millwall manager. There we go. That's it from the EFL betting show this morning here on Football League World TV. Thanks, Marcus, for your time and all your selections this morning. Let's hope for some luck this weekend. Just a final reminder to all those watching, please do gamble responsibly. 18 and over. That is very, very important. We've got one more show coming up for you later on today here on the channel. We've got the EFL weekend preview show hosted by George Douglas at 4:30 p.m. We're going to be taking a look at some of the big games across all three EFL divisions this weekend. There's some real crackers within each of the leagues coming up this weekend. But from myself and Marcus, we shall see you soon.